And I made $500,000 before I even had a WordPress website. All right, so today's question comes from Tony and Greg, and they want to know, what is the best website builder for beginners? They've heard about WordPress, but they're wondering about Wix and Squarespace as well. So basically, we're doing a WordPress versus Wix versus Squarespace in terms of what website builder you should use to start. So it's really going to come down to a few things. I think it's going to come down to, first of all, your level of sophistication with technology. So if you are pretty good with technology, you pick things up quickly, and you're willing to do the work to kind of learn what WordPress can provide, WordPress, hands down, is still the king, in my opinion, for running a business. And there's a couple reasons as to why. WordPress was made originally for bloggers. And so as far as it is constructed, it is going to rank well above a site that's built on Wix or Squarespace. What that means is that your content, as you put it out, it's cleaner the way that search engines can read the content that's on it, and thus it's going to give you priority over other similar sites. So if you had a competitor, for example, that used a simple Wix website, and they're trying to compete with WordPress, the way that WordPress was built with that search-rich content, more than likely, their site is going to outrank you. All right, so if you don't rely on search, or you're not looking for people to discover you via search engines, and you just need something clean that goes on the internet that you're going to get traffic to in some other capacity. Maybe you're big on social media. Maybe that's how you're planning on driving traffic to. Maybe right now your plan is to eventually transition to WordPress, but for right now you just need to get something out there. I don't always tell people to not consider Wix or Squarespace. The reason being is because I would rather see you make progress than stay on the sidelines with WordPress. There's some issues with WordPress where you're going to have to find a host, you're going to have somebody set that up for you, and there's cPanel, and there's all the stuff that goes into it, migrating that in, buying that domain, migrating it into the host, then connecting it to your WordPress site. That's very overwhelming for people. WordPress has done a great job, in my opinion, of having new themes like Divi and Elementor that have that same drag and drop feature that Wix and Squarespace have, which, to be quite frank, when I first started with WordPress, that didn't exist, and it was only the back-end builder, right? It was very difficult to build a WordPress site, and you had to learn basically the way that WordPress does things, whereas Wix and Squarespace made things extremely easy to just put pictures up there. There were already templates they had that were created for you. Honestly, Divi and Elementor pretty much do that for you. So the learning curve is really truncated in relation to what it used to be. But I understand if it feels a little bit overwhelming getting some of those things set up. Totally understand that, and I'm not suggesting that you do it if it feels overwhelming to you. I myself built my first website on Wix back when we didn't have the drag and drop builders like we have now on WordPress, and I made $500,000 before I even had a WordPress website. The other factor to consider is this. If you build on Wix and Squarespace and you do migrate over, you want to make sure you have a developer do that for you. The reason being is that it's not effectively starting over with your site, but if you don't do it right, re-indexing your site to Google, primarily Google, if we're being honest with search engines, it can drop your rank. So if you built to number 1 overall in your geographic area with your local business, and then you migrate your site over to WordPress because of the amazing things that WordPress can do, specifically how powerful it is, you may drop a few spots temporarily while you build up the credibility again of your website on WordPress. The second factor is this, as it relates to WordPress, and why I recommend WordPress, and I think it's just the king as far as website builders. Half the world, by the way, that has a website is built on a WordPress website, which should tell you something. The plugins and the seamless connectivity that WordPress provides is second to none, right? So take your phone, right? You have apps, and there's endless apps, and anybody can submit those apps to the marketplace on Apple, right? Effectively, that's what a plugin is for your website. WordPress's library of plugins that you can add for the different functionality you want your site to have, in comparison to the others, at least the last time that I checked, it's not even close, right? The connectivity that WordPress provides as your business grows, you're going to want to have that. You're going to want to be able to integrate with things like scheduling, or you want to kick things to an email marketing tool, or whatever the case may be, embed a manual pixel from Facebook to be able to run ads. So in terms of growth, you'll probably eventually have to migrate to WordPress anyways to have more of the advanced things that your business might require that Wix or Squarespace may or may not provide. It may, and you may never have to migrate over, and that's totally fine. I'm just saying that it does provide limitations in relation to what WordPress provides. Now, the pros of Wix or Squarespace, as mentioned, are pretty much that. In terms of an out-of-the-box builder, you're good to go. You could literally sign up, grab a template, add your pictures, and have a site done within an hour. Literally, it's that simple. And in fact, you could actually take your domain that you purchased from someplace like GoDaddy, and you could actually just embed it right there. They do all the hosting and everything for you. So it's kind of like Website for Dummies. If you really just need to get something up, if you're already doing pre-orders or you're just trying to launch, you have a full-time job and you just need something, right? You just need to get something up there, then that's absolutely a way to go in terms of being out of the box and just having a website. Highly, highly, highly recommend. And they're visually very appealing. If you don't necessarily know what you're doing with WordPress, it might not look so great. And then you have to ask yourself, what's better? A good-looking website that I have up or something that looks like boo-boo, but I need to learn to, right? So it's kind of like you have to weigh those two and make the best decision for yourself. So I hope that answers your question. I hope that puts you on the right path. Again, know, regardless of what you do, at some point, you're probably going to need a developer to help. I recommend Upwork or Fiverr as resources to help, specifically if you go with WordPress. So if you're overwhelmed or intimidated by just getting it set up, you're like, yeah, well, once I get it set up and the basic pieces in place, then I could totally do WordPress. Dude, then find somebody on Fiverr or Upwork, a developer, and pay them $50 to $100 to just get everything hosted and set up and apply your domain and get your custom email set up and stuff like that. And then it's just a matter of you learning, and there's tons of tutorials on YouTube, Divi tutorials, Elementor tutorials, or even just general WordPress tutorials that you can watch. They're going to help you take it to the next level. So eliminate some of the technical specifics if that's the part that's overwhelming you. But even with Wix and Squarespace, I would still recommend have somebody on Fiverr, on Upwork, that can help you with some of those challenges that you have. Or if something happens with your site and it crashes or somebody hacks it or whatever, you've already got that resource established that you can go back to and be like, hey, you helped me set up my site. This just happened. Can you please help me? Right? So a good practice to have regardless of whichever one you decide. But I hope that answers your question. Hope that puts you on the right path. If you do have further questions, the rest of you watching, if you do have questions, make sure to drop those in the comments below, either business and or marketing questions for your startup business. I will answer those. The best ones that come in, I will answer in a video like this one you're watching right now. Don't forget to like, hit subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you see more videos like this, and I will see you all in the next one.